The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
I'm Vinnie Politan, the subject of my investigation, the death of 13-year-old Madeline Soto, who endured years of alleged sex abuse, some of it captured on camera. It's a story about a little girl who was let down by those who should have protected her. Here's the story. 13-year-old Madeline Soto was murdered in February of 2024 in Kissimmee, Florida. She was reported missing after failing to show up at school, sparking a frantic search. 5 days later, her body was found in a remote area of Osceola County. The medical examiner determined she had been strangled. Authorities arrested Stephan Stearns, the boyfriend of Madeline's mother, Jenn Soto. He was charged with first-degree murder, capital sexual battery, and possession of child sexual abuse material. Investigators revealed that Stearns had been allegedly abusing Madeline for years. Stearns is now currently awaiting 2 trials, the first for the alleged sexual abuse of Madeline and a second trial for her murder, where he is facing the death penalty. Madeline's mom, who allowed her daughter to sleep alone with Stearns in his bedroom, has not been charged with anything and may be a crucial witness for prosecutors. From the beginning of our coverage of this story, which began as a mystery, became an investigation, and now is moving towards trial, a lot of the focus and discussion outside of the courthouse, outside of the courtroom, has been about Madeline Soto's mother, Jen Soto. And in this hour, that's going to be our focus. We're going to talk about Jen Sodto for the next hour and her actions, her reactions, her statements, everything having to do with this case, which is the case of the sexual abuse and murder of her 13-year-old daughter, Madeline. So let's begin with the first time we met Jen Sodto, which was when her daughter went missing. She reported her missing to police, but then also went on local TV and spoke to WFTV about Madeline. Let's take a listen.
We dropped her off at school, close to school. She wanted to walk the rest of the way. She was spotted walking by the church, by the middle school, on the cameras. They saw her hang out in the parking lot for a little bit and then get up and leave. They didn't see a vehicle or anything else. They just saw her walk away around 9 a.m., heading towards the school, but she never made it.
And that was the first time we heard from her, the first time we ever saw her, and we were introduced to this entire situation and this mystery, this missing 13-year-old. And if you listen to that, she said, we dropped her off at school, and then they saw her on the church camera walking away. So it was like, okay, she was on her way to school and something happened to her. But that's not what happened here. And that brings us to the first question in our investigation. The first question about Madeline's mother. Where was Jen Sodto during Madeline's disappearance and death? Where was she? Here to help answer that question is creator and host of Grizzly True Crime YouTube channel, Gizella K, and Paulette Lofton, Chief Public Defender for Oakland County, Michigan. Great to have you both here. Before we begin our discussion, there's this one piece of her interview that I just have to get out early in this hour because it's one that has really, I think, struck a chord with so many people. It gives us sort of a backdrop and foundation when we start talking about Jen Sodto. So let's listen to this first.
So we showed you photos of Stephan raping.
No.
The first thought you had was to ask his father if he should get a lawyer?
No. I saw a picture. I didn't see the rape. I didn't know she was getting raped until yesterday. I saw the picture of the oral sex happening. And I knew that was true, right? That's evidence. That's for real. That's happening. But I kept thinking, they're going, I don't know why I can't tell you why my brain kept thinking, no, he didn't kill her. Not that he didn't kill her, but she's still missing, she's still out there, she was taken. Yes, he's done this to her, and that's not okay. But I swore she was still, I felt in my body she was still alive, she was still out there.
Okay, just to review what we just heard. We heard Jen Soto recount when she's confronted with images of her daughter, who's 13 or younger in the photo, we don't know, being sexually abused orally by her grown man boyfriend. And her initial reaction is, oh, he needs a lawyer and he has nothing to do with her missing. That's what she's saying there, Gisela. Am I getting that right? I mean, for your viewers as well, I mean, didn't that just strike a chord? Like, what is going on here?
Jaw on the floor. I mean, she always puts Maddie down, the way she talks about it, but she builds Stephan Stones up and she wants to protect him. Never believed that he could do this, and she's already, you know, decided, oh, okay, I didn't know that he would have killed her, but maybe someone took her. Even when faced with the photos, with the evidence, with everything laid out in front of her, she's still thinking of protecting Stephan Stones. It was really a shocking moment.
Yeah, and I think from that point forward, it's been difficult for a lot of people to give Jen Soto a break. Let's get to the timeline now. Again, this is all based upon her statements, Jen Soto's statements about where she was. And we begin on Sunday, February 25th. And this is when there is a birthday party for Madeline. She's having a party. I believe it's at her aunt's or her grandmother's home. And Jen is working. Gisela, just to confirm, where was the party?
The party was at Madeline Soto's grandmother's house, so Jen Soto's mother's house, which Jen Soto did not attend. She was doing work that day, training for a new role at a new job. So that's where it was. All
right, and then you know, you look at that and you're like, well, what's going on? How is the mom not at her daughter's 13th birthday party? That's kind of strange. Let's continue on Sunday, February 25th, because here's where it gets very significant. 10:30 p.m. is when Jen says she arrives home. She speaks with Madeline for the final time, and then Jen believes everyone goes to sleep. Let's take a listen to her talking about that night, because this is crucial evidence.
I got home around 10:30. I started getting ready for bed myself. I started eating and taking my meds, because I have to take meds. I sent them upstairs. I think he may have come down at one point to pee before bed, and then he went back upstairs. He went back upstairs and they went to sleep, or where I think they went to sleep.
What was the last thing, I guess, the conversation that you two had, you and your daughter?
We spoke about her birthday party. She had a birthday party on Sunday. She had a great time. I couldn't make it because I was working, but she had an amazing time. She was so happy with all her gifts. I told her good night, and yeah, that was it.
One of the details that's left out of that part, Paulette, is the part where Jen, and she admits this, that she told Stephan and instructed her daughter to go upstairs with her boyfriend to his bedroom to be alone in that locked room upstairs while she slept after taking her meds downstairs. To me, that's like strike two against this mother, right?
I agree. I think she said she needed some good sleep, which I don't even know what that means in that context. So you think it's okay to send your newly 13-year-old daughter to sleep with a grown man who you've not known for that long? Yes, a couple of years. But to me, that is so very strange. Obviously, she could have had her daughter sleep on her own. So I agree. I think that's the second strike. Also, she just missed her 13-year-old daughter's birthday. So she comes home, she has to eat and take meds, and she doesn't spend any time with her daughter. I know in that interview she said, oh yes, my daughter had a great time at the party. You found that out in the 10 minutes you spoke to her before sending her to bed with your boyfriend. It paints a very negative picture of her, for sure.
It's bizarre, Gisela. It's just bizarre. The nature of this relationship and the way she's describing this night. And this is the night. This is it. This is it for Madeline. This is her last night on Earth.
Yeah, and Jen Soto didn't seem upset even at that point in these interviews, talking about the last time that she saw her only child, 13-year-old Madeline Soto. So to be like, oh yeah, she was so excited about her party, she wasn't. Madeline Soto's friend said in interviews with the police that she was really upset at her birthday party. She wasn't happy with her gifts. She didn't have the best time. So already there, Jen Soto's lying. So that's almost strike three for me already there. But to say, oh yeah, then I just sent her to bed. Really? After 10 minutes, pretending you watched a movie with her, pretending she loved her gifts, what did you give her? What did you do for her birthday? Oh, so many questions.
Great point. All right, let's move on to the morning now. The following morning, February 26th, 9 a.m., Stephan wakes Jen up, and then Jen leaves around 9:30. Let's take a listen to her describing this morning.
He came in to walk the dog, to put the leash on the dog and walk him.
Was the dog in the room with you?
Yes.
So did he wake you up on purpose, or was it just kind of like the causation of him opening the door and you realizing somebody was there?
Yeah, the causation of him putting the leash on the dog. I have a doctor's appointment. I leave sometime between 9:30 and 9:45. I finished there sometime between 11:15. Then I headed home. When I got home, Stephan was there. I had talked to him a little bit earlier while I was waiting for my blood work appointment, and he let me know, oh, I'm so sorry, I left my phone at home by accident. School, everything went great. She got up super early, got up really quick.
All right, this is another problem, Paulette, that a lot of people have. So she goes to bed the same time as her daughter. Her daughter's got to wake up to go to school. She just doesn't, not at all concerned about her daughter in the morning at all. To me, that's strange. Doesn't see her, doesn't hear her, yet that's not like a big deal to her when she reports her daughter missing.
It didn't seem like a big deal at all. She had just missed her birthday party. You think she would have gotten up the next morning and been there present while her daughter got ready, but she didn't even wake up. The only reason she did wake up is because Stephan Stearns came in to get the dog. So really, she wouldn't have woken up even at that point. She carried on about her day, if we believe her story about what she did that day, like nothing had happened. And yes, I think that's extremely strange for a mother in this situation.
I'm trying to remember. I'm a little bit older, so I don't sleep as much, right? But I'm trying to remember last time I slept 11 hours. Right? It took an 11 hours. It's 10:30, and she's going to sleep. She's not waking up till 9:30, and she's woken up accidentally. Like, it's 11 hours of sleep. Does that sound credible to you, Gisela? I don't know. Maybe she's a little younger. Maybe you can sleep more. I don't know. She's on meds, right?
Yeah, she was on some medication, so that could have made her more sleepy, but this is pretty extreme. And she just had some training the day before at work, and yet she had 2 days off. And wouldn't it be the perfect time to sleep until 8:30, let's say, and then get Maddie to school on time and then go to your blood work appointment? Like, the timeline would fit perfectly. Why do you need Stephan Stearns to help you at all? Why must Maddie go to school so early? It makes no sense. And she had all sorts of things planned for herself that day, from the blood appointment to the Botox appointment that she canceled. I mean, but she wasn't concerned all day about Madeline Soto, not even that she missed her birthday party.
Right. Now let's move to the afternoon, 4 o'clock. Jen, at that point, goes to Madeline's school to pick her up. Here she is describing that.
4:04, the bell rings, and I'm waiting. I'm the first in line. And she doesn't come out.
You were in your car?
I was in my car, in the car line, yeah.
Okay.
At this point, It's been a few minutes. She should have been out by now because she's usually one of the first kids out. She knows I'm the front line. He said she was missing all day. And at this point, I start to panic and freak out because that can't be the case. She was dropped off.
All right, so this is crucial, Paulette. Does that sound credible to you? Is that she's been told, fed this info by Stephan Stearns, and that's what she's basing her reaction on here?
Well, I think it's hard to believe she was first in line, like Mom of the Year over there. So I find that a little bit strange. But yes, I mean, she's painting a picture that she believed everything that he said, that drop-off went exactly how it should have, and she carried on with her day, and she went to pick her up just like she always did. So is it plausible? I suppose so. Is it a little bit hard to believe? I think so.
Yeah, it's not a huge house how she would not hear her daughter in the morning, right? Okay, guests are staying with us. Coming up next, why did Jenn Soto bring up Woody Allen?
I've always told him that my biggest fear is that this would turn into a Woody Allen situation where the stepdaughter or the dad grooms the child and the child then turns 18 and ends up running away with him.
The Court TV podcast will return.
I showed you a picture. The picture you saw, she was giving a to a grown man who's, and you told his dad to get him a lawyer. Missing, right? Now you, but then you just thought she was missing, and we were showing you our investigative lead being raped. The was raped, not consensual. Whether she wants to do it or not, that is not consensual.
Now, Jen Soto has not been charged with anything, and investigators have made it clear that they have no evidence of her committing a crime. But so much of her behavior and her statements have made people wonder what was she thinking, what was going on, why is she acting this way? And that's what we're looking at this hour. I'm going to play for you now, probably from my perspective at least. I mean, there's a lot of strange statements and behavior, but this is the most bizarre statement in light of the facts of this case, and perhaps the most potentially incriminating statement as to her potential knowledge of what was happening to Madeline over the course of years with her boyfriend, Stephan Stearns. Take a listen.
I've always told him that my biggest fear is that this would turn into a Woody Allen situation where the stepdaughter or the dad grooms the child and the child then turns 18 and ends up running away with him. I told him like that was my biggest fear and I don't ever want that happening. Like, you can't do that to me. Like,
Why would you say that to him?
because I never trusted. I grew up being told never trust a man. My mom put that in my body. Never trust a man.
Okay. Let me go to my next question based on this, because I don't understand this. Why did Jenn Soto bring up Woody Allen? Why did she bring it up to investigators? Why did she allegedly bring it up to Stephan Stearns himself? That's what she's saying. She's telling Stephan Stearns, hey, listen, Steph, I don't want this turned into a Woody Allen situation. You're not going to do that to me, as opposed to grooming my daughter, who is the victim. Let's bring back in our guest helping us figure this out. Gisela Kay, also with us, psychotherapist, CEO of Life Counseling Solutions, Dr. Janie Lacey. Okay, Dr. Janie Lacey, I'll let you go at it first here. Why is she bringing this up? Why would she bring this up to investigators, number one, and allegedly bring it up to Stephan Stearns, number two?
Well, Vinnie, in my opinion, she's bringing it up because she has conscious awareness of this being an inappropriate attachment with Stearns and Madeline. And when we think about this Woody Allen reference in particular, to me, she understands the grooming and predatorial nature of what could develop. And this wasn't, to me, a sudden realization. When you think about, she just said in the clip that you just played, I've always told him this was my fear. So by framing it as a future concern when Madeline turns 18, to me, Jen was doing something that we call psychologically distancing herself from the current reality. And this is what we call cognitive dissonance. She's acknowledging the problem while also enabling it. It's a way for her to express concern without taking a proactive action. So when we think about this Woody Allen reference, that she is showing to me that she's aware of the inappropriate nature, but also minimizing the immediate danger. So she's conceptualizing it, even when we hear the word, as a relationship issue, rather than recognizing it as active abuse. So this kind of thinking allows parents to stay in denial while they also have some level of awareness. So Jen was operating from this place of compartmentalization when we're hearing this interview that you just played, but she also had enough awareness to articulate, Vinnie, the concern, but not enough proactive instinct to act on it. So to me, this suggests that she was someone who was either in deep denial or potentially just complicit.
And Gisela, you know, something that I think a lot of people also hear there that jumps out is, you're not going to do this to me, completely ignoring the fact that you're talking about the grooming of a girl who was, what, 8 years old when this all allegedly begins? I mean, the victim is Jen Soto in Jen's mind, if in fact her daughter gets groomed by a grown man.
And that's just based on the evidence that they have from Stephan's Google Drive. Stephan was in Madeline's life from when she was around 6 years old, so it could have started before then. But that really stood out to me when Jen Soto said, you can't do that to me. And yeah, also saying that I always told Stephan, this was my fear. I mean, why was the Woody Allen situation so fresh in her mind when that dates back to like 1997, except for maybe they watched, and that would be quite sickening to think about if Stern suggested this, the HBO documentary that I think came out in 2021 about Woody Allen. So I don't know if that's why, but it's a little odd to bring it up on her 8th interview. This was her 8th interview, including the 2 media interviews. She's just bringing it up randomly while the police were asking about the sleeping arrangements. To insert that into the conversation is a huge incriminating red flag.
And she also said it was ingrained in her, Dr. Jenny Lacey, never trust a man. But you can have a man upstairs in a locked bedroom with your daughter. That makes no sense. Oh, my goodness. I can't believe we've got to see that. But my apologies, ladies and gentlemen. But go ahead, Dr. Jenny Lacey.
Right. We see the contradiction in her statement, Vinnie, that on one hand, never to trust a man, but on the other hand, she's trusting this man with the most precious thing that she has, and that is her daughter. So it shows, which is why I reference compartmentalization. When we see that when people compartmentalizing, it's in the contradiction, the truth lies, which is why I would suggest that she had some level of awareness, consciousness of the inappropriate nature that was happening in her home, but potentially because her own unhealed self has allowed and enabled this and projected whatever may have been in her own background. What I would probably suggest, there's probably a lot of trauma in her own background, and then this trauma repetition, putting herself and her daughter in the same exact situation potentially that she herself has gone through. And that's why she's making these references when we watch this interview. So to me, there's something really deep denial that she has, and just her being complicit. She knew subconsciously, consciously, there was an awareness there.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
All right, Gisela K, thank you so much. Great to have you tonight. Dr. Jenny Lacey's going to stick around. Up next, what does Jen's behavior reveal?
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
I'm Vinnie Politan. We continue our investigation of the death of 13-year-old Madeline Soto, whose life was anything but normal and happy. She was a girl who was told by her mother to share a bed with a grown man who is now accused of molesting and murdering her. Here's the story. Stephan Stearns was arrested in March of 2024 in connection with the murder of 13-year-old Madeline Soto in Kissimmee, Florida. After Madeline was reported missing, authorities launched an extensive search, ultimately discovering her body in a remote area of Osceola County. The medical examiner determined she had been strangled. Investigators quickly focused on Stearns, the boyfriend of Madeline's mother, Jen Soto. Evidence revealed that Stearns had been allegedly sexually abusing Madeline for years. He was charged with first-degree murder, capital sexual battery, and possession of sexual abuse material. Stearns is currently in custody awaiting his upcoming trial and could face the death penalty if convicted in a second trial for Madeline's murder. Meanwhile, Madeline's mother, Jen, has not been charged and may testify against her ex-boyfriend, Stephan Stearns. Jen Soto has spoken publicly. She's spoken on television and interviews when Madeline was first missing. She spoke in multiple police interviews. She never exercised her Fifth Amendment right to not say anything, her right to remain silent. She continued to speak. But a lot of things that she has said through the course of this have had people, myself included, scratching their heads trying to figure out what exactly is going on with Jen Soto. Why does she say these things? Why does she act this way? Why did she do what she did? Why did she allow to happen what happened in this case involving her daughter? So right now, let's take a look at some of the statements that have been made by Jen Soto during the course of this investigation.
I feel like I can't breathe. All I keep thinking about is, where is she? Is she safe? Is she okay?
What's her name?
Madeline. M-A-D-E-L-I-N-E.
M-A-D-E-L-I-N-E. Last name?
Soto. S-O-T-O.
S-O-T-O?
Yeah.
You guys are sleeping in the same bed together. You guys are all cohabitating. She's not sleeping in her room. But you felt the need to establish a rule that they couldn't sleep in the same room. But when you established that rule, for 3 years, she's already been dating him, essentially. Whether that's legal or not.
I had no idea. If I knew anything, I promise you, I would tell you. Like, I am willing to take a lie detector test, whatever the you want, but I don't know anything. He's never mentioned anything. I've never seen any signs. I tried watching her like a hawk. I thought I was doing a good job, but I wasn't. I was oblivious to everything. 4 years?
Minimum. That's just how that far back the cloud goes.
What's Stephan's relationship with? What's their relationship like?
I was gonna say really good. Super great. He's always been super sweet and kind to her. Very accepting, warming, understanding of her, because she's got ADHD, so she's kind of a little, I'll say abnormal. In the sense, like, she doesn't act like every other kid. But you have to have extra patience and understanding for her. And he does that really well.
Do you think it's possible that Stephan and her are having a sexual relationship?
Before those images, I would have said absolutely not. But if you're telling me that on the other side of that penis that they showed me was her with her mouth, then there's nothing else I can believe. That has to be true.
I showed you a picture. The picture you saw, she was giving a to a grown man, and you told his dad to get him a lawyer. Who the cares if we think he killed her? He's.
I don't know why I said that.
But that's the problem. You don't know why. So the reaction in your mind is you are continuously protecting this guy. So why do I sit here and believe that you don't? Does your role in her life lead this to happen? I'll be honest. Yes.
I know.
Since she was a child, since her victimization started, it occurred under your roof and you acted like it didn't exist.
Her actions, her reactions, her statements bring us to the next question in our investigation. What does Jen's behavior reveal here? What does it reveal about her? What does it reveal about what happened to Madeline? Here to help answer that question, Dr. Janie Lacey. Also joining us, former prosecutor Margaret McLean. She's also the host of It's a Crime with Margaret McLean. Thank you both. Margaret, I'll begin with you. As you see her and listen to her and watch her, what does it reveal to you about Jen Soto?
Well, as a former prosecutor, I worked with battered women and, rape victims. I feel that this woman has such extreme level of self-esteem that she would actually gift her daughter to this predator and think that that was okay. And I noticed in the clips you played that she really does. She has fake tears, but I felt she lacked emotion. And I'd like to dig deeper into what this woman's past was to, allow this grooming behavior to go on for years and years and years. And I almost feel that she was maybe being praised by this, the predator. I hate to even say his name, Stephan Stearns, but maybe he praised her because she wouldn't engage in those types of sexual acts. She wanted to keep him. She was desperate for him. And again, that goes back to his severe low self-esteem and perhaps issues that went on in her childhood. But it's very disturbing and not normal behavior. And I also think she may lack some intelligence.
Dr. Janie Lacey, what is her behavior revealing to you?
Well, her behavior, Vinnie, reveals a lot. But if we look at, even after being shown evidence of abuse, her initial response was to protect Stearns. And right, this is highly, we can all say, unusual maternal behavior, especially when a child is missing. And we think about her normalizing inappropriate sleeping arrangements and the casual way she described sending them upstairs shows this normalization of concerning behavior. And then we think about the interviews that you played, right? The law enforcement officer immediately identified her credibility issues and so to me there's some deceptive behavioral patterns that we can see, and it could be a couple things, right? It could be that compartmentalization, her ability to separate awareness from action because of her own past untreated trauma, and this trauma bonding with this attachment to Stearns, despite the evidence of that he's harmed her child. Even her saying, well, you're showing me the video, so I have to believe it, which goes back to that cognitive dissonance. She's holding contradictory beliefs simultaneously. And perhaps this is maybe learned, making some assessments here, in my opinion, but maybe there's learned helplessness, this pattern of her not protecting due to her own trauma history. So, a couple things that her behavior would tell me that her possible history of her own abuse led her to normalize a lot of dysfunction. We can all see this, especially our maternal instincts. And then, as she mentioned in the interview that we watched, this possible substance abuse affecting her judgment and her memory. But either way, the severe disassociation from her trauma or conscious participating in covering up the abuse is just classic signs of someone caught between multiple loyalties, potentially from her own history. So, her behavior to me shows that she has awareness of inappropriate dynamics, Vinnie, but yet doesn't protect her child, whether this represents her criminal complacency or just her psychological dysfunction from her own trauma, which even in the interviews that you showed, the investigators even determined that.
Yeah, Margaret, we have about a minute left, a little less than a minute. As Dr. Janie Lacey referenced, the detective was very skeptical of her. Are you surprised that she has not been charged with anything?
If I were the prosecutor, I would charge her with an accessory, at least to the sexual abuse. And I don't understand that because I don't see where they would even use her in this first trial, perhaps in the murder trial. But to me, there's just enough evidence against Stearns that, I would go ahead and charge her. It's disgusting. And I feel that as a mother myself, she really let her daughter down and she committed multiple crimes by allowing this poor girl to be groomed like that.
All right.
Awful.
Margaret McLean's going to stay with us. Dr. Janie Lacey, thank you so much. Still to come, what do we know about Jen's relationship with Stephan Stearns?
This is the Court TV podcast.
He's not a very clean guy. He's kind of a little hoarder, collector. So just my house was always a mess and never the way that I wanted it to look. Or the clutter just gave me anxiety. So I asked him to move upstairs and he did. And he lived upstairs until until December of last year. And then he moved to Northport, Florida with his parents, but they had promised him a job, but that fell through. So we were in the process of trying to get him to come back up here to get his job back at Disney and for him to move back into the house for a little bit. And I'm not sure long term. I know temporarily I was willing to accept him back.
Was that something out of convenience for him or because you
a little bit of both. We missed him. And I wanted to help him out.
We missed him. Did you catch that? We missed him. Yeah, Madeline missed the molester in the house. She missed the hairy, flubby old man who would molest her and record her on video while doing it, allegedly. That's what she missed. Anyhow, you heard that description. He's messy, he's a hoarder, he was trying to get a job, he's out of work. Like, what's going on here? I want you to take a listen to Jen Soto's friend describing Stephan Stern.
And then she hooked up with that guy.
Okay.
Stephan. And I, again, just trying to remember, we probably knew them maybe another 4 to 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we didn't like him.
You didn't like Stephan, or why not?
He was a scumbag.
Oh, yeah.
We knew. Not that he would do that.
Right.
Never. I never had that, But he didn't have a job.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't hold a job. Was proud about painting these stupid little plastic soldiers.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, I was just like, I resented that he got, I don't know how he stayed alive. Most of us have to work. And I thought they had split up at that point.
Okay.
Honestly, I thought they had split up. And I know Courtney said at that point they were having some issues. And Courtney said to Jen, leave him. You don't do that. Mm-hmm. Right? You don't usually interfere in somebody's business like that.
Right.
But he was pretty bad enough that she was like, leave him.
Okay, the friends are saying leave him. He doesn't work. He paints little toy soldiers. He's a hoarder. He doesn't have a job. What is going on here? Brings us to the next question in our investigation. What do we know about Jen's relationship with Stephan Stearns? Like, what is going on? You're still here with us, helping us with our investigation, Paulette Lofton and Margaret McLean. Paulette, I'm trying to understand this. Like, they were sort of broken up. We missed him. He lives upstairs, like in his own room. What is going on in this relationship?
It doesn't sound like a lot of love. It really sounds like a roommate situation. It sounds like a friendship. We missed him. We wanted to help him out, kind of get him back on his feet. So I don't think in any of the interviews I ever saw her talk about him in a loving way. I mean, she definitely expressed she had no idea that there was a relationship going on. She said she was brought up not to trust men, but then obviously with her actions, we can tell that she did in fact trust him with her daughter. So it does seem to me that this relationship was one more of convenience than love.
All right, Margaret, you ready to blush? Because I'm going to blush when I read this. This is investigators' conversation with Jen. This comes from some documents. I asked Jennifer to explain her and Stephan's sex life, which she described as vanilla. Stephan would want to have, shall I call it, alternative sex with Jennifer, but she said she didn't want to. I got one more. This is Stern's friend. I asked Frank if he had any conversations with Stephan about his sex life. Frank stated no. However, they would be out and an adult female would be interested in Stephan, and Stephan showed zero interest. Frank said Stephan was talking about he and Jennifer ending their relationship, and Madeline's name came up during that conversation. He was more upset about the bond he created with Madeline than having a relationship with Jennifer. So what's going on here, Margaret?
Well, I think Jennifer is just a desperate woman, and they broke up multiple times. She always took him back, and in my opinion, maybe in order to keep him, she gifted her daughter to him, and he was happy with that, as we know. So, I mean, the relationship was really, really screwed up, and this woman, Jennifer, was just, despicable. But I do think that, and my understanding too was when they were broken up, she still allowed Stephan to go up and sleep with Madeline, right? Which is just, that to me, that really shows a very, very desperate woman with no self-esteem and a troubled childhood.
Yeah, but Paulette, I think about these two, right? It seems neither one of them works that much. She had just started this new job. He was supposed to get a job, I think, with his father, and that didn't work out for him. Father's kind of smart. He likes to play with his toys. He likes to paint little figurines. No one seems to have money. They have people living in the house. Like Stephan Stern's got his room, and then there's boarders in the house too. It's not a huge house. It's not small by any means, but it's not huge either. This is just it's almost like they're living together in a flop house, and the daughter has her bedroom, which apparently she doesn't sleep in the living room. Like everything is just completely disarray, and so sad for Madeline.
I agree. This is such an odd situation. And I really do think if this actually goes to trial, that's what the jury is going to struggle with. It's going to be really hard for them to believe Mom or Stephan Stearns, because who would want their young child living in this situation, especially with boarders or roommates that you don't really know? That's a threat to begin with. And then you add on top a mom who is leaving this impressionable child with this man who she's not really in a loving relationship with, and is allowing them to sleep together in the bed. I just feel like a jury is going to have so many issues listening to this and not be able to find commonality or understanding with the defendant, or if Jen testifies, with Jen, because this is so abnormal.
Yeah, and I just hope that prosecutors are able to keep the focus on Stephan Stearns, the one on trial, because I know the defense will try to divert attention to Jen Soto, because that's where the audience goes. That's where all of us go. Like, what's going on with Mom? But we have to remember, Stephan Stearns is the one who's going to be on trial. Paulette Lofton, Margaret McLean, great to have you both with us. Thank you so much. Now, I don't know what Jen Soto was thinking while all this was happening to her daughter. What I do know is that her statements and reactions don't make sense to me. And there's a chance it may not sit well with jurors either. The question is, though, will that take the focus off of the accused sex offending murderer, Stephan Stearns? I'm Vinnie Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues.
There you have it. If you want to see more in-depth reporting on the latest true crime stories, you can see me every weeknight, 8 p.m. Eastern on Closing Arguments. Thank you so much for downloading. And as always, please don't forget to hug the kids.
This podcast is a production of Court TV. Go to CourtTV.com for more content, trials on demand, and to find out how to watch Court TV in your area.